The major change I saw in Marilyn Manson was when we first played in Los Angeles.
We were the house band at Universal for like a week. And so every night it was basically just a wild party. You just see Perry Farrell, Gene Simmons, Ron Jeremy, Tracy Lords.
They just hit it off like they were supposed to be together, and they ended up going out. At a show in LA, you don't need a backstage pass because everyone is important. The song Beautiful People came from that experience.
The beautiful people, the beautiful people.
He wanted to be a part of that scene, I think. He fit in very well with Los Angeles.
He looked me up when he was opening for 9 Inch Nails. You know, and at that point it was already getting a little awkward or weird to have a conversation with him. I mean, how do you relate to someone who's doing what he's doing?
As things start to snowball and you become more popular, you start to build up an insulation between yourself and everybody else.
He didn't like to be called Brian in front of the fans.
He will get very annoyed if in public people call him, "Hey, Brian."
We needed to call him anything but Brian.
We like to be called Mr. Manson. I always make sure that I call him Mr. Manson. I didn't want to get him upset.
Somewhere along the line, he became Mr. Manson full-time.
It was a year on the road with Nails, and then Manson started right away with his headlining tour. And I think that is, you know, really when the crowd got to be introduced to Marilyn Manson.
Something crazy happened every night.
He'd be breaking bottles and cutting his chest open.
When Brian started cutting himself on stage, I thought, okay, he probably won't do that again because he's been whining about it all night, you know, after the show. And then he would do it even more at the next show.
You know, he cut himself open pretty good sometimes, and it'd be scary.
Barb, his mom, she freaked out. She didn't like that at all. Some fan brought us a chicken.
So they decided to put the chicken in a cage on stage. Somehow the cage got kicked, the chicken went into the audience.
Next thing you know, hits the fan. Word's gotten out that Manson is sacrificing animals.
The chicken never died, but somehow PETA and SPCA got a hold of this news that Marilyn Manson was sacrificing chickens.
As the tour would go on, the legend of sacrificing chickens grew and grew, and then we would get to venues and there'd be cops there, or there'd be a lineup of people reading everybody the riot act before shows.
Unfortunately, I think he's gotten a lot of negative publicity that's not necessarily due him.
The media puts this bad spin on him, saying he's a bad influence on kids.
I could not believe that an entire country got so up in arms about this scrawny kid in plastic pants.
They weren't getting their album pushed by the record label. Any recognition was from concert touring. They didn't get any real airplay.
I mean, they hadn't really had a big single, and then all of a sudden, Sweet Dreams.
Sweet dreams are made of these. It's the first time you sang it, you're like, wow, that's going to be a hit. Brought a whole different meaning and tone to it than the original Eurythmics song.
I mean, he just reinvented the song. It became their song.
He had a great shtick where the lights go out and he had this big construction worker's light bulb. You know, he's singing into the light, and then, you know, right as the song gets heavy and kicks in, he's bam.
And the crowd loved it.
The first I worked with Marilyn was on the Sweet Dreams video. With this video, it was just about creating absurd images that bordered on the surreal. It really didn't need any explanation other than, what did I just see? What is that? There was no doubt this video was gonna just piss off mothers across America, you know? MTV making that a buzz clip was a huge significance. The thing was on like 6 times a day, hypnotizing children across America. I think that's where they really made an impression on the country.
Everybody loved it. He became a household name after that.
He's being played on the radio, and he's got a great video to match. And all of a sudden, boom, there he is everywhere.
That was the mainstreaming of, you know, the Marilyn Manson image. Just it blew up like that.
In the very beginning, I would say that Marilyn Manson was maybe a repressed personality somewhere deep in the mind of Brian Warner.
He wanted to be accepted, but didn't know where to fit in, so he made his own path, basically.
Is Marilyn Manson a real person?
That's the old question. Is it all an act?
No, it's not all an act. It's all real. I mean, Brian doesn't make separation between being a character on stage and being a person in front of you.
You know, he developed the character of Marilyn Manson, and then he became that character.
I suppose that Marilyn Manson just took over Brian Warner. I don't know that Brian Warner exists anymore.
If I could stick to you, you could stick